Hi, my name is Vanessa Hartley, and I'm going to tell you about the time my younger sister stole my identity to get plastic surgery, racked up $45,000 in medical debt in my name, and how I made sure she faced consequences that would literally change her face forever. This is a story about betrayal, narcissism, and what happens when someone thinks your good credit score is their golden ticket to a new life. Let me start by giving you some context about my relationship with my sister. Her name is Brianna, and she's 3 years younger than me. Growing up, we were close enough, but there was always this underlying current of competition. I was the responsible one, the one who got good grades, went to college, built a stable career. Brianna was the pretty one, or at least that's what everyone always said. She was homecoming queen, dated the popular guys, cared intensely about her appearance. I'm 32 now, working as a senior accountant at a mid-sized firm in Denver. I make decent money, around $90,000 a year. I've been careful with my finances, paid off my student loans, built up my credit score to 780, saved for a down payment on a condo. I'm not rich by any means, but I'm stable, comfortable. Brianna, on the other hand, is 29 and has bounced between jobs her whole adult life. Retail, waitressing, a brief stint trying to be an Instagram influencer that went nowhere. She's always been obsessed with looks, constantly comparing herself to celebrities and models. Our mother used to tell her she was beautiful just the way she was, but Brianna never believed it. About a year ago, Brianna started talking about wanting to get work done, a nose job, maybe some lip filler. She'd send me before and after photos of celebrities, asking what I thought. I'd usually just say something vague like, "You don't need that," because honestly, I thought she was fine the way she was. But Brianna was convinced that if she just looked a little more like Kendall Jenner or Bella Hadid, her life would magically improve. The problem was money. Cosmetic surgery isn't cheap, and Brianna was barely making ends meet working part-time at a boutique. She asked our parents for help. They said no. She asked me. I also said no, not because I didn't love my sister, but because I thought spending tens of thousands of dollars on elective surgery when she couldn't pay her rent seemed like a terrible idea. "You just don't get it," she told me over the phone. "You've never had to worry about your appearance. You have a career, a real job. I need to invest in myself." Brie, you're beautiful, and even if you weren't, plastic surgery isn't going to solve your problems. Maybe focus on building skills or finding a career path. Wow, thanks for the lecture, Vanessa. Must be nice to be so perfect. She hung up on me. I didn't think much of it at the time. Brianna was dramatic, had been. I figured she'd cool off and we'd talk in a few days like we always did. That was October of last year. Fast forward to January, and I'm sitting at my desk at work when I get a call from a number I don't recognize. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. "Hello, is this Vanessa Hartley?" "Yes, speaking." "Hi, this is Jennifer from Mountain View Surgical Center. I'm calling about your account. You have an outstanding balance of $14,800 that's now 60 days past due. We've sent several statements to your address on file, but we haven't received payment." My brain completely stopped working for a second. "I'm sorry, what? I don't have an account with you. I've never had surgery." "According to our records, you had a rhinoplasty procedure on October 15th. The balance was supposed to be paid within 30 days, but we haven't received anything." "There must be some mistake. I didn't have a nose job. I've never even been to your facility." There was a pause. "Ma'am, we have your signature on file, along with copies of your driver's license and insurance card. The procedure was performed by Dr. Chen." A cold feeling started spreading through my chest. "Can you tell me what address you have on file?" She read off an address I didn't recognize, not my condo, not my parents' house, somewhere in Aurora, a suburb I rarely visited. "That's not my address. Someone has stolen my identity. I need to speak to someone about this immediately." They transferred me to their billing manager, then to their legal department. I spent 2 hours on the phone, getting transferred, explaining the situation over and over. They asked me to come in with my ID, to fill out fraud reports, to contact the police. My hands were shaking by the time I hung up. I called my bank immediately, checked all my credit cards, my bank accounts. Everything looked normal. Then I pulled my credit report, something I did quarterly anyway, and that's when I saw them. Multiple hard inquiries I hadn't authorized, a medical financing account I'd never opened showing a balance of $30,000, another account from a different medical facility for $12,000, $42,000 of medical debt in my name. My credit score had dropped from 780 to 623. I felt like I was going to throw up. Who had done this? How had they gotten my information? I thought about all the data breaches I'd read about, wondering if my identity had been stolen by some random criminal halfway across the country. Then my phone rang. It was my mother. "Vanessa, honey, Brianna just posted the most beautiful photo on Instagram. Have you seen it? She looks so different, so glamorous." I put her on speaker and opened Instagram with shaking hands, pulled up Brianna's profile, and there it was. A selfie from 2 weeks ago, captioned, "New year, new me. Finally invested in myself and I've never felt more confident." She looked different. Her nose was smaller, more refined. Her lips were fuller. Her cheekbones looked higher, more defined. The comments were full of people asking if she'd lost weight, asking about her skincare routine, complimenting her glow-up. One comment asked directly, "Did you get work done? You look amazing." Brianna's response, "Just some minor tweaks. Best decision I ever made." I zoomed in on the photo. That was definitely my sister, but it was also definitely not the face she'd had 3 months ago when we'd had Thanksgiving dinner together. "Vanessa, are you there?" "Mom, I have to go." I hung up and immediately called Brianna. It went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I sent a text, "We need to talk now." 3 hours later, she finally responded. "Can't talk. At work. What's up?" I called her instead of texting back. This time she answered. "Bree, did you get plastic surgery?" A pause. "Why are you asking?" "Just answer the question. Did you get a nose job, and fillers, and whatever else?" "I mean, yeah, I told you I was thinking about it." "How did you pay for it?" Another pause, longer this time. "I saved up. Why does it matter?" "Brianna, did you use my identity to get surgery?" Silence. Complete, damning silence. "Oh my God, you did! You actually did!" "Vanessa, I can explain." "Explain what? How you stole my identity? How you opened medical credit accounts in my name? How you forged my signature on surgical consent forms?" "It's not like that. I was desperate, okay? I needed this and you wouldn't help me, and I knew you had good credit." "Are you insane? Do you understand what you've done? That's identity theft. That's fraud. That's a federal crime." "Don't be so dramatic. It's not like I stole money from your bank account. It's just medical bills. You make good money. You can pay it off. I'll pay you back eventually." "Eventually? Brianna, there's $45,000 of debt in my name. My credit score has dropped over 150 points. Do you know what this means for me? I was supposed to close on my condo next month." "Okay, I'm sorry about the timing, but like I said, I'll pay you back. Once my Instagram takes off, once I start getting sponsorships." I actually laughed. It came out harsh and a little hysterical. "Your Instagram? You have 3,000 followers. You think some skincare company is going to pay you enough to cover $45,000 in surgical debt? You don't know that. Now that I look better, things will change. I'll get brand deals, maybe modeling opportunities. This was an investment in my future." "It was theft. You stole from me. How did you even get my information?" "You gave it to me. Remember when you had me house sit last summer when you went to that conference? I found your filing cabinet. You keep everything so organized. It was easy to find your social security card, your insurance information, copies of your pay stubs. I just took pictures with my phone." I felt like I'd been slapped. "You planned this. You've been planning this for months." I wouldn't call it planning, I was just keeping my options open, and when you said no to helping me, I knew I had to do it myself. By committing identity fraud? Vanessa, you're making this a way bigger deal than it needs to be. Just pay the bills, take the hit to your credit for a while. It'll recover. You're stable, you have a good job. This won't ruin your life or anything. But it might ruin yours. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm calling the police. This is identity theft, Brianna. I'm filing a report. You wouldn't do that. I'm your sister. You should have thought about that before you stole my identity and destroyed my credit. Vanessa, please, if you report this, I could go to jail. Is that what you want? To send your own sister to prison? What I want is for you to take responsibility for what you've done, but since you clearly can't do that, yeah, I'm going to let the legal system handle it. You're such a bitch. You've always been jealous of me, and now you're using this as an excuse to... I hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. Over the next week, I did everything I was supposed to do, filed a police report for identity theft, contacted all 3 credit bureaus to place fraud alerts on my accounts, reached out to every medical facility and financing company that had accounts in my name to dispute the charges, hired a lawyer who specialized in identity theft cases. The lawyer, Marcus Webb, looked over all my documentation and whistled low. This is pretty cut and dry. You have evidence that you were out of town when some of these appointments occurred. You have witnesses who can testify about your sister asking you for money, and the fact that she admitted it to you on the phone. Did you record that conversation? No. Should I have? It would have helped, but we have enough. The medical facilities will have surveillance footage, sign-in sheets, probably even photos from her consultations. Once we subpoena those records and compare them to your photo ID, it'll be obvious you weren't the person who had these procedures. What happens to her? My sister, I mean. Marcus leaned back in his chair. Identity theft is a federal crime. Depending on the amount, she could face up to 15 years in prison. More likely, given this is a first offense and involves a family member, she'd probably get probation, community service, and be required to make restitution, but she'd have a criminal record. And the debt? Once we prove fraud, the creditors will have to remove the charges from your account. They might try to collect from your sister, but given her financial situation, they probably won't get much. The bigger issue for her will be the criminal charges. I sat there thinking about my little sister, the girl I shared a room with growing up, going to prison. Then I thought about my credit score, my condo purchase falling through, the stress of the past week. The casual way she said, "You're stable, you can handle it," like my life was just a resource she could tap into whenever she needed something. File everything, I told Marcus. I want to pursue this fully. The police investigation moved faster than I expected. They contacted the surgical center, got copies of the intake forms and consent documents. The signature on the forms was clearly not mine. I have very distinctive handwriting, small and precise, while whoever had signed these forms had larger, loopier letters. They pulled surveillance footage from the facility showing Brianna checking in for her appointments, filling out paperwork, being escorted back to surgical suites. The detective assigned to my case, Detective Morrison, called me 2 weeks after I filed the report. "Ms. Hartley, we have enough evidence to arrest your sister. Before we do that, I wanted to ask if you'd be willing to participate in a controlled call. Sometimes in family cases, if we can get the suspect to admit to the crime on a recorded line, it makes the prosecution's job easier." "You want me to call her and try to get her to confess?" "Essentially, yes. We'd have you on speaker at the station, recording everything. You'd bring up the surgeries, the debt, and see if she admits to using your identity. If she does, that recorded admission becomes evidence." I agreed to do it. 3 days later, I was sitting in a small room at the police station with Detective Morrison and another officer, calling my sister's number from my cell phone with the police recording everything. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Vanessa, I was wondering when you'd call." We need to talk about what you did. I already told you I'll pay you back. How, Brianna? How exactly are you going to pay back $45,000 when you make maybe $20,000 a year? I told you once my social media takes off. That's not a plan, that's a fantasy, and in the meantime, I'm the one dealing with collection calls, with my ruined credit, with the fallout from your decision. It's not ruined, you're being dramatic. Credit scores bounce back. Not when there's $45,000 of debt that I didn't agree to take on. Brianna, do you understand that what you did was illegal? You committed identity fraud. Oh, come on, we're sisters. It's not like I'm some stranger who hacked your accounts. I just borrowed your information because I knew you wouldn't help me willingly. Borrowed? You can't borrow someone's identity. You forged documents, you lied to medical professionals, you opened credit accounts in my name. And I'm going to pay you back. Why can't you just trust me? Because you've already proven I can't trust you. You stole from me. There was a long pause. When Brianna spoke again, her voice had changed, gone harder. You know what? Fine. Yes, I used your social security number and your insurance information to book consultations with Dr. Chen and Dr. Roberts. I signed your name on the paperwork because I knew they wouldn't approve me for financing with my own credit. I got a rhinoplasty, chin augmentation, breast augmentation, and some facial fillers. It cost $45,000 total, spread across 3 different payment plans. And honestly, Vanessa, I'd do it again, because unlike you, I actually needed this. You've always had everything handed to you, the good grades, the career, the money. All I had was my looks, and even those weren't good enough, so I took what I needed from someone who could afford to help me but chose not to. Maybe that makes me a bad person, but at least now I finally feel good about myself. Detective Morrison was nodding at me, making a wrap it up gesture. Okay, Brianna, I just wanted to hear you say it. Say what? The truth. Thanks for being honest. I hung up before she could respond. Perfect, Detective Morrison said, stopping the recording. That's everything we need. She admitted to the identity theft, the forged signatures, the fraudulent credit applications. With this recording, plus the documentation from the medical facilities, we have a solid case. 2 days later, Brianna was arrested at her apartment. She called me from jail, hysterical. Vanessa, please, you have to drop the charges. I can't stay in here, please. I didn't press charges, Bree. The state did. This is a criminal matter now. But it's your identity. If you tell them you're dropping it, they'll let me go. That's not how it works. You committed a crime. Now you have to face the consequences. Please, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. You should have thought about that before you stole from me. She was released on bail 2 days later. My parents paid for it, which caused its own family drama. My mother called me, crying. How could you do this to your sister? She made a mistake, but she doesn't deserve to go to jail. Mom, she stole my identity and committed fraud. That's not a mistake, that's a crime. But she's family. We handle things like this within the family, not by involving the police. She didn't give me a choice. She refused to take responsibility. What was I supposed to do? Just eat $45,000 of debt and a destroyed credit score? You make more money than her. You can afford it. That's not the point. The point is that she committed a crime against me and then acted like I was being unreasonable for being upset about it. My father got on the line. Vanessa, your mother's right. This has gone too far. Drop the charges. We'll figure out a payment plan to pay you back. Dad, I can't drop the charges. It's out of my hands now. The DA's office is prosecuting. Then talk to them. Tell them you won't cooperate. Why are you more worried about Brianna facing consequences than about what she did to me? Because she's your sister and she's young. She made a mistake. If she gets a criminal record, her whole life will be ruined. She ruined it herself. I'm not going to let her drag me down with her. My father hung up on me. My mother stopped taking my calls. My younger brother texted me saying I was tearing the family apart and couldn't I just forgive Brianna? I felt completely alone, but I also felt certain I was doing the right thing. The legal process took months. Brianna got a public defender who tried to work out a plea deal. The DA's office wanted her to plead guilty to identity theft and fraud, serve probation, complete community service, and pay full restitution. The restitution part was where things got complicated. Brianna didn't have $45,000. She barely had $400. The DA suggested garnishing her wages, but that would take decades at her current income level. Then Marcus, my lawyer, brought up something I hadn't considered. So the surgeries were cosmetic, right? Elective procedures? Yeah, nose job, breast implants, facial stuff. So theoretically, they could be reversed. The implants could be removed, the facial fillers dissolved. Obviously, the nose job is permanent, but the other procedures could be undone. I stared at him. You're saying she should have to reverse the surgeries? I'm saying it's an option. If she's unable to pay restitution, the court might consider ordering the reversal of certain procedures as part of her sentence. It's unusual, but there's precedent in cases where stolen property needs to be returned. In this case, the property is the surgical enhancements obtained through fraud. The idea made me feel sick, but also there was a certain justice to it. Brianna had been willing to destroy my credit and steal my identity for those enhancements. If she had to give them up, maybe she'd understand the weight of what she'd done. When I mentioned the possibility to the DA, she was intrigued. It's an unconventional approach, but it might work. We could offer it as part of a plea deal. She pleads guilty, agrees to probation and community service, and agrees to reverse the elective procedures. That way, she's making a form of restitution even if she can't pay financially. The offer was presented to Brianna and her lawyer. According to Marcus, her response was to break down crying in the conference room, saying she'd rather go to jail than give up her new face. But her public defender convinced her otherwise. Jail time would be worse, and at least with probation, she'd still have her freedom, even if she lost the physical changes she paid for with my identity. She took the deal, pled guilty to 1 count of identity theft and 1 count of fraud, sentenced to 3 years probation, 200 hours of community service, and required to undergo surgical reversal of her breast augmentation and dissolution of her facial fillers within 60 days. The nose job couldn't be undone, so that stayed, but everything else had to go. I didn't attend the sentencing hearing. I'd given my victim impact statement in writing, describing the financial and emotional harm her actions had caused me. I didn't need to see her face when the judge handed down the sentence, but I did see the aftermath on Instagram. Brianna posted a long, rambling caption about injustice and how society punishes women for wanting to feel beautiful. The photos showed her face looking gradually more like her old self as the fillers dissolved, her lips thinning back to their original size, her cheekbones becoming less pronounced. The comments were mixed. Some people were sympathetic, saying I was cruel for forcing her to reverse the procedures. Others pointed out that she literally committed a crime and was facing the consequences of her actions. They deleted the post after a few days. Then she deleted her entire Instagram account. My parents are still not speaking to me. They think I went too far, that I should have handled this within the family. My brother tries to stay neutral, but mostly just avoids the topic. The only family member who's been supportive is my grandmother, who called after she heard what happened. Your sister made her own choices. You did what you had to do to protect yourself. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty about that. The medical debt was removed from my credit report once the fraud was proven. My credit score slowly climbed back up. I had to delay buying my condo by 6 months, but eventually I closed on a beautiful 2-bedroom place with mountain views. Brianna completed her community service and is apparently working at a call center now. We haven't spoken since before her arrest. I don't know if we ever will. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing, if I should have found some other way to handle it, some solution that wouldn't have destroyed my relationship with half my family. Then I remember the casual way Brianna said, "You can afford it," when talking about stealing $45,000 from me. The way she acted entitled to my good credit, my financial stability, my identity. And I remember that I didn't do this to her, she did it to herself. My name is Vanessa Hartley. I'm 32 years old, I work hard, I pay my bills, I built a good life for myself. And when someone tried to steal that life, even when that someone was my own sister, I fought back. That's not cruelty, that's self-preservation. Brianna wanted a new face so badly she was willing to commit a federal crime to get it. In the end, she got her new face for a little while, then she lost it, along with her clean record, her relationship with me, and whatever delusional belief she had that actions don't have consequences. Sometimes I think about reaching out to her, asking how she's doing, if she's learned anything from all this, but then I remember that she's never apologized. Not really. She's never acknowledged that what she did was wrong, only that she got caught. So I don't reach out. I focus on my own life, my own goals. I'm dating someone now, a guy I met through work who knows the whole story and thinks I handled it exactly right. We're talking about moving in together next year. My condo is beautiful, my credit score is back above 750, my savings account is growing again. Life is good. And if Brianna ever decides she wants an honest conversation about what she did and why it was wrong, my door isn't completely closed, but it's not open either. She'd have to earn her way back into my life, and earning trust after betrayal like that, that's a lot harder than stealing someone's identity for a nose job. I hope she figures that out someday, for her sake, not mine, because I've moved on and I'm doing just fine without her.